Hope you're having a great morning.
Welcome to the Tug of More.
Or day or evening.
Yeah, whenever it is that you're listening or watching.
You might be listening to us in the middle of the night.
Hey, I do that sometimes when I can't sleep. Watch something good.
But for us, it's morning-ish.
Yeah.
While we're filming this episode.
That's true.
We just wrapped up our last video shoot.
Yes.
For the series that we've been in. Called The Recipe of Love.
It was really fun, really good. We get to eat food while making a video. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, we're doing a marriage series and talking about like how your marriage is like a recipe, that you have to have the right instructions and the right ingredients and all the things. And so this is our last week, and we've been going to local restaurants.
Yeah.
And today we went to a brunch spot.
Brunch house, and it was really good.
And they poured it on for us. They gave it to us for free.
All of it, took care of it, and best treatment, whatever food we wanted.
Dude, they were bringing out pancakes and waffles, and I've been doing pretty good on my diet. But I'm ready to take a nap a little bit. So I'm bringing that up. If you see my eyes glazing over, Whitney, just kick me under the table.
I'll be like, hey, this is good. This is fun.
Because I think I just ate more sugar in that one meal than I've eaten in a month.
It was
Maybe not a
great.
month. That's a lie.
but in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was really good. But yeah, we're two friends who are in life and ministry together. We work together. We live life together. And we talk on this podcast, if you're new, about the tug, the tension, the fight between where we are and where we know we're called to be.
That's right.
That's what it is. What else?
No, it's good.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about something that is helping us right now in this exact season that we're in to step into more. It's been something that I feel like we've kind of got pulled back sometimes in life. And this is a new tactic that's very simple. And yet we're learning it right now and it's helping us. Let's talk about it.
Sometimes to step into the more, you have to stop looking backwards.
That's true.
And you have to unfollow hindrances from yesterday.
You have to go on your Facebook, your Instagram, your life, whatever, and actually hit a button that's called unfollow.
Yeah.
Stop following some people, some things, some circumstances, and then in your calendar, in your day, and you're like, where are we going? What are we doing? We have to unfollow and stop showing up for some things.
This is something that really I started feeling really heavy over my time off this summer.
Yeah.
We just a couple weeks ago did an episode on rest and how like you and I over the summer took some sabbatical rest time. And I realized that, man, I was spending way too much time looking at not just people. We have to clarify. It's not just looking at people from my past,
right?
But looking at people that I'm kind of hoping to become.
Yeah. Aspiring.
Which really sometimes can turn into competition or can turn into like, man, I hope that I can get there someday.
Yeah.
And sometimes watching too many people makes you feel like, man, I'm not doing good enough right now.
Well, and we have to know ourselves well enough to know like the moment we're in or the season we're in. And like we've heard that phrase a billion times that like comparison is the thief of joy, or like that phrase about like people just post their highlight reel and then we compare it to our behind the scenes, like all these things. But the truth is, in certain seasons of our life, we are more raw and vulnerable. Like you and I are huge advocates of counseling and like self-awareness. And in this season, we've both been like trying really hard to be real self-aware and like step into some eliteness. And I think when you're more raw and vulnerable in moments like that too, you have to be aware of maybe 6 months ago, this didn't affect me the way it did. But right now it's affecting me in a way that is unhealthy. For me, there was a moment with, one of the elders in our church that came up to me and like had a word from the Lord, like said, like, I feel like God is speaking something, and she spoke some things to me. And then she said, I know this sounds really weird. And like, I don't even know if this is an issue for you, but I think for the next few weeks, she actually said for the next 8 days, you should take a social media break. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And like, that's a thing for me, but it's not like I'm not like obsessed with it. And like when we have a busy work day, there's times where I haven't really looked at it in like two or 3 days. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh yeah, let me catch up real fast. And so I thought, okay, whatever, if that's what she's saying. Well, I was like repeating it when I got home to my family. This is what she told me. This is what I'm going to do. And my son said, well, it's funny, Mom, because in 8 days we're getting on a cruise boat. And he said, so really it's more like 2 weeks. And I was like, oh, darn, you're right.
Yeah.
And so I went ahead and was like, oh, weird. Okay, I'll make 2 weeks of just not being on any social media at all. And it was amazing to me. I was so much more aware of some feelings that I wasn't feeling, that I didn't even realize I was feeling.
Yeah.
in those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it started for me this journey of like, oh, maybe there are some things I shouldn't be following anymore.
You needed a detox.
Yeah.
Had to get that
but
stuff.
I didn't even know that I did until I did.
I think that, man, we have so many directions that we can go. Anytime that you're looking at something that when you're done looking at it, you feel worse.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at it?
Yeah.
For me, while I was on my trip, I found myself, spent a lot of time praying, and God spoke something kind of really weird to me.
Yeah.
One day, He said, "Truston, you're full of lust."
Yeah, good. I knew you had to tell a story, but I didn't know when you were going to tell it. God, this is a good time to tell it.
And like, man, that's not a good thing to hear. Like, God, what do you mean I'm full of lust?
Well, and as a pastor, like, that's like a what?
And I've battled with lust and sexual temptation, and like in all the different ways that any man or anybody has.
Yeah.
And felt like I had a lot of victory in a lot of those areas. I mean, it still is very, I have to be cognizant.
Yeah.
Just the other day, I was at the gym with my workout partner, and I was like, no, like it's some situation happening over. Why is that what you wore to the gym, ma'am? And so like, it's something in that way that I'm still aware of sexually, but that God said, you're full of lust. And so I was like, okay, I don't really know what you're talking about. And so I started to pray about it. And I felt like God said, you're lusting after other pastors' churches.
Yeah.
And I found myself, and so I started to like examine what I had been doing on social media. And what I'd been doing is I'd been watching their church and looking at their buildings. Because we're in this really weird season as a church where we own a building, we own some land, but we're doing set up and tear down at this giant facility, and it's a beating, and if you're not like familiar with our story, you're gonna have to go back, or it's gonna take forever to catch you up on that. But man, it's been really hard for me. And so God said, you're lusting at after these other churches, buildings, after the size of their ministries, after what looks like the ease of their service production.
Their highlight reel.
You're lusting.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. And so I got on social and I'm scrolling through all these pastors that I follow. I'm looking at YouTube at my most recent things I've been watching. And I'm watching for inspiration and encouragement, and all these other things.
And cheering them on and all these things.
And cheering them on because I want them to win. I really do. But in it, there's this little like, woe is me that started to rise up about what I wasn't able to do or what I hadn't received yet.
Yeah.
Or this comparison of like what we've got and what they've got.
Right.
And dude, it was when I really started to look at it, it was real ugly.
Yeah.
Like in my heart.
It made you aware of like, oh, there's this thing I didn't even know was happening in me, but now I see it.
And so this is a little off topic, but that's okay.
No, it's good.
And so after I realized that, I went to Willie Pig, which is the building that we rent, and it's about a 1,200 seat auditorium. And I went in there and I prayed and I said, God, I want my mindset to shift from frustrated about what I don't have to thankful for what you gave me.
Yeah.
And I walked around that facility and God like helped me refocus my mind and my heart to become thankful. We have 1,200 seats.
Right.
We have this giant stage. We have
a place to meet.
40-foot ceilings. Right. We have a huge gymnasiums and cafeterias and all this space for our kids. And like, it's an answer to prayer. Yeah.
And we're locked into it weekly. Like that facility, they've never had a consistent tenant that they've allowed, but yet they've allowed for us for like a 3-year span of time to say, you can be there every week. We're not going to kick you out for some other reason. And so like, there is so much goodness, but it was hard to see in the midst of it.
And it's funny how an answered prayer just a couple of years ago can turn into something you're frustrated about today.
Right.
You remember how excited we were when we went to our school district and pitched them the idea of us meeting at Willie Pig?
We made that list thinking there's no way they'll say yes to even half of this. And they said yes to all of it.
We literally have 2 giant storage buildings that we've left on the property full of golf carts and all kind of stuff. We keep our LED walls there. Like, we're storing hundreds of thousands of pounds.
If you are Robert, don't listen.
I'm saying we're storing tons of our equipment there. And they've let us do it.
No, it's
We're drilling holes in walls and hanging crap in the ceiling. We got wires all over the place. They told us yes. We were so excited.
Yeah.
But it's funny that just in 2 years, that celebration can turn to discouragement.
Right.
Because I'm lusting.
Yeah.
Because I'm
really
lusting at what somebody else has. So I was in there praying, and I really felt like a realization of what I was dealing with. And like I repented and said, God, I'm sorry, I don't want to be like this. And so then the next week, I think we had our staff meeting.
Yeah.
And so I told the staff we're going on a field trip, and we all went to the pig. And I sat everybody down on the stage, because that's where I usually stand, is like on the stage looking out. And I told them everything that I just told y'all about how God told me I was full of lust.
Right.
And that was kind of, you could feel the whole room like, oh no, like what is he
about to admit?
What is he about to say? And I explained and I said, guys, we need to be thankful for what God's done.
Yeah.
Look at what he gave us. And so as a team, we talked about it, and it's felt like we've had a
rejuvenation. Yeah. Is that the word?
Rejuvenation. I was going to say new vigor. Is that the word?
Yeah.
New excitement about where we are,
right?
And the unknown of what's next. Okay, I tell that whole story because the problem is that when you start to lust after what somebody else has, or when you start to look with the wrong eye, you have to make a change. And so for me, I had to intentionally unfollow a whole bunch of people. Yeah. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to unfollow them forever.
Right. That's what I think is so important, and why I'm like, it's not off topic to talk about, because you're in a moment, in a season, and you recognize these people I actually love, these people that I'm cheering on, these people that have in many seasons brought me encouragement and inspiration.
Yeah.
In this season, in this moment, it's actually causing me pain, and it's causing me to do what I don't want to do. And so I'm going to take the right step to unfollow in this season.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean they're bad people.
No.
And it doesn't mean you're a bad person.
No.
It just means this is what I need for me.
I need a reset in that category.
Yeah.
And so whether that's 3 weeks or 3 months or a year, I need to have a reset.
Absolutely.
And so I needed to unfollow some influence in my life.
And the same was like for me in that season of like taking the steps off of 2 weeks. I realized, there are some people that I love, but we did a podcast a while ago about letting people go. And like, for me, it's really hard because I love people that when they take a step out of my life, or they take a step into something new, or maybe we've walked through a difficult transition, I've not let any of those people go, because in my heart, I wanted to keep following them and loving them and cheering them up, because I am. In my heart, I love them dearly, and I want the best. I want God's best for them, all the things. But for me, in the season I was walking through, I have a lot of like, for me, the struggle is like processing my emotions and like what I'm feeling in real time. And like, I hadn't yet grieved some of those relationships. And so what I was doing was reminding myself of them constantly, and seeing them in my feed and seeing them in moments, and not yet fully have healed from the fact that they weren't there anymore. And I had to tell myself, hey, what? It's okay to not watch for a minute.
Yeah.
It's okay to not yet see what's going on next. You love them, you're for them. And what you said, it doesn't mean I'm following you forever. It's just right now, this is actually causing me pain.
Yeah.
And bringing up, it's like when you get like a wound and yet you keep re-picking at the scab, it's never going to heal. And it's like, you're picking at this over and over without giving space to let it heal. And so I've never been an unfollower, because I thought it was unchristian-like, improper. Did it mean I have a bitter heart? Well, no, actually, I don't want to have a bitter heart.
Well, there's a difference between a bitter heart and a wounded heart.
Yeah, right. No, it's really good.
Yeah, and if you're wounded, then maybe it's time to quit picking at it.
Yeah.
It's just let it heal.
And I didn't even realize until I took that space away from social media for a minute to realize, like, I don't know what everybody's doing right now, and that's okay. Yeah. I don't need to know what everybody's doing and where everybody is right now, because I got to focus on where I am and what I'm doing. And I that's another struggle for me of like, that's not selfish. That's taking care of myself and taking care of the people in my sphere of influence right now, in my world. And so, I had to hit the unfollow button too. And it's been interesting what we're learning in it. Go ahead. Yeah.
Let's take it a step farther than just the unfollow button.
Yeah.
There's also the moving out of the physical circles of people.
Yeah.
Like for us, we have been a part of a couple different like church groups.
Yeah.
What are they?
Just people, certain, influence groups.
Influence groups, networks.
Yeah, networks. That's another good way of saying it.
And there's some that are good, and there's some that are bad.
Or toxic.
Yeah.
Or opposing of the same culture that we're striving to have.
And so there's times that I would find myself at events or luncheons or conferences or things. Yeah. And it felt like every time I went to one of these, I walked out feeling worse than I did when I went there, which should be the opposite. That if I'm in a room with a bunch of pastors, I should walk out feeling encouraged and motivated. But instead, it's like the lobby of every one of these things is a pissing contest.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Well, you said it, so it's fine.
Peeing contest.
No, it's fine.
Which is actually a really disgusting.
Yeah.
Why would you want to have that as a contest?
I don't know. People say it.
And so like, it feels like every time that I would walk in, 40 guys would ask you the same question.
Right.
What's up with the building, man? How many are running?
Yeah.
What's your budget? Oh, like it's just like a competitive, gross thing. And like for a lot of years, I worked really hard to be seen and to be accepted in those circles. And for what?
Yeah.
Every time it just leads to hurt.
I remember not that long ago, you and I went to an event together where we were going to learn some things that we needed to learn. And at the end of the day, we did learn from the content what we needed to learn. But we got there early because that's usually how we roll at those events. And you went one way and I went one way, and we like saw some people talk, connected, whatever, and then came back to go get our seats at our table. And both of us felt like, ugh. We had just like gone through the ringer of like relational, almost punches is the word. I don't know how to, of like sarcasm and weird insecurity, like jabs of things that were like, and we were both like, ugh, can't we just come learn without having to go through that first?
Yeah.
And it was one of the moments that started the conversation of like, there may be some circles we don't need to be a part of anymore.
Yeah. It felt like a high school reunion.
Yes.
Like, can you imagine what, like,
no, I didn't go. Did you go?
No, I didn't.
Me either.
But I didn't because I knew what it was going to be.
Right.
I can imagine that your high school reunion is going to be everybody there just trying to flex on each other. Look, I made it.
Look what I did. Look what I've accomplished.
They all waxed their car. They all got their new toupee. They all got whatever elective surgeries needed 6 months in advance.
Right.
And like I saw pictures of my high school, my 20-year.
Yeah.
Olds mug. 20-year high school reunion. And it's exactly what I thought that it was going to be. It's a flex off.
Yeah.
And like, and sometimes there's groups of people that it's a flex off.
Yeah.
And like for us, that's in a ministry context.
Yeah.
But maybe for you in your business, there's a corporate something. Maybe it's your sister.
Right.
Like maybe there's somewhere.
The Bunko group. It's like who knows what it is.
For real. It's you used to be a part of a workout club.
That was like super toxic and not helpful to my life. And it was like, I can't do it. It's literally making me feel worse about, I'm supposed to be going here to get healthy and fit and feel good about myself. Instead, I just feel like a loser every time I leave.
And so sometimes I think we need to be okay to take a step back from people, groups, cultures that are no longer benefiting us.
But what if everybody else is?
Screw them.
But what if your family has been a part of it for generations, but of that, group? What if like these are the struggles you and I have had in facing, like, should we take a step back from this or not? Because some of these people, some of these things, groups are what we've known for so long, and yet we walked through a season, we talked about it in Rest, of like disappointment and like massively disappointed by some people that we love deeply. And that's part of the problem is like you and I, we are stayers. We are loyal to a fault. We are the people like, oh yeah, you don't really know if you want me here? Well, now I'll just be here even longer. Like,
let me prove.
I'll set up the chairs for the event so that you'll let me be a part. And we were like, hurt and sad. And so in this context, our spouses, Aaron and Rachel, who love us deeply, we're like, hey, we're not going back to this. Hey, we're not showing back up here. And we got in an actual, truth be told, it was not like fight yelling, but like tension fight.
Oh, it was a fight.
Dinner, remember? Of like, we're just not going to talk about this anymore. Because we were like, yes, we are going. We will be a part.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit.
Okay, fine.
I don't know how much. No. And I don't know how much we've talked about before.
Well, just go. Yeah.
Whitney and I were scheduled to preach at this conference.
Yeah.
Tag team preach and stuff at this conference. And then we were told the day before the conference.
Yeah. Literally while we were in town for it, hey, never mind, we're not going to let you be a part.
That we weren't allowed to for a bunch of really stupid reasons that ended up not even
hurt our feelings.
Not even being truthful.
Yeah, and not even be all the way what it was. And because one, we loved and believed in where we were and the part of the organization we were part of, because we had empathy for the situation, and we're like, oh, well, actually, they probably had other reasons why they had to do it, so we don't know the full context. We like didn't consider our feelings at all in it, and we're just like, no, we're going to show up because that is the godly thing always. And they were both like, no, you're too valuable. Your time is too valuable.
Yeah.
Our time, their time, like, we bless their hearts. We're constantly like, you two, let's go. And they come with us everywhere.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we're not doing that. We're not putting our people and our hearts and our emotions in that mix again. And there are other dynamics that made it even more tricky and difficult. And you and I were like, yes, we are. And like, we're giving each other a look across the table, like, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know.
Let's give it 3 months.
They're going to change their mind. And like, we're not going to fight right now. But then the truth was, they were right.
Yeah.
They're right.
Yeah.
Go.
For you, you said loyalty is a big piece. And 100%. I think that's super me. I'm loyal to a fault, but then also prove the haters wrong. Absolutely. Is the other piece. Like, oh, you don't want me.
Haters are my motivators.
You're trying to push me out. Let me show you I'm unpushable.
Yeah. And like what you said about me, like
screw weak people that play games behind doors that nobody sees.
Right.
Just to push somebody out they're intimidated by. Yeah. Screw them all.
Yeah. Tell them how you really feel.
Because they're watching. Or they pay a guy to watch.
Anyway, so.
Yeah, screw
and
'em.
So just forget you. But the truth is.
But when you realize the hurt that's incurred of being connected to groups of people, why keep going? Well, at least for a time to just have a reset.
Right.
At least for a time to just have a healing moment.
Well, what you just said, like in like being silly and in jest, is the logic behind it all. So there's logic that we can put to the circumstances to say, oh, this shouldn't hurt us because it's really this, X, Y, Z. But we are human people.
Yeah.
We are not robots.
Yeah.
And like we have feelings and emotions. And so as leaders, as people who are tugging into more, it can be really easy to be like, nope, I'm the leader. I have to keep moving. I have to lead and bleed. No, there are moments we have to lead and bleed. We have a whole podcast on it. It's true. But there are moments then, after we've led through the bleeding, that we have to heal.
Yeah.
That the bleeding has to stop.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is to not keep getting stabbed.
It's a good word.
And so, like, we were letting ourselves keep getting stabbed because we were like, oh, well, we'll prove it wrong. No, that's not what we need.
And we kept letting ourselves get stabbed because of our desire for self-advancement.
Yeah, that's true. We got to be honest about that.
Yeah,
like,
I had to be honest that I kept putting myself in circles and I kept following people and kept commenting on things and being in proximity because I'm hoping that someday I'm going to be noticed and platformed and given opportunity. But the truth is, the Bible says that advancement does not come from the east or from the west, but it comes from above.
That's right.
And we can actually let go of giving a crap what anybody else thinks, which we have a whole podcast on that.
Yeah, we do.
Giving a crap about what anybody else thinks, that God's my promoter, that man, then you can actually get into a position to heal. And if you can tell from the tone that I took a few moments ago, I'm still in the process of healing.
Yeah.
Because there's still, it's hard to want to throw a punch and never have thrown it.
Yeah.
And so whenever you're then re-wronged, you want to throw a punch.
Yeah. Or wronged others that you love are wronged.
Oh, for sure.
That's the thing. Aaron and Rach in that moment when we were all tense at the table, we recognized none of us are actually fighting each other. We're fighting the situation. Yeah. And their intensity about it was because of their love for us. And like, I don't want you hurt in this. And like, and we're the same way, protective of our people. And so like, yes, be aware of it and admit it and just say, hey, I don't need that junk in my life.
Yeah. And so it's not that you run away. We stayed at that conference that we alluded to. We stayed and we gave the things that we told we were going to give, and we helped in the ways that we told we were going to help. But as it comes back up, it's like,
when it comes back time for it again.
Why go? There's a pastor's luncheon that I get invited to go to every month.
Yeah.
But it's not actually beneficial.
Yeah.
Like the things that they're talking about don't actually help.
And it's not fruitful.
It's not fruitful. And
it requires a big sacrifice of changing your schedule and our schedule and all those things.
I used to feel real bad about not going, but now I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
For a year, I'm not going anything for a year. After what we just walked through, after having to learn how to rest, after God telling me that I'm full of lust, I have to have a reset in myself. And I'm just not going to go to any of that stuff for a year.
Yeah. And so we are, again, it's not vindictive, and it's not like certain people, screw you, forget you. But then for the vast majority of it, it's not that. It's I need space. I'm taking, a year, 6 months, whatever the time is. And then I'm going to reevaluate it then. Because the truth is, we may decide in a year that half those things we're going to go back to and half those things we're not. We may decide that one of those things we're going to go back to and the rest we're not. We don't know yet, because we got to get on the other side of that healing, and we can't let ourselves make a decision in the middle of it. We got to just hold to what's true.
But you can't heal while you're still being stabbed.
No, you can't.
And so maybe you're getting stabbed through watching on social.
Yeah.
Maybe you're getting stabbed by being in the room.
Yeah.
Maybe you're being stabbed by chasing a opportunity that someone's dangling a carrot that doesn't even actually exist.
Right.
Whatever it is, you have to choose to unfollow.
Yeah. Unfollow and be okay with, and like, don't keep looking it up. You know, on social media, you can unfollow people, and as long as they have like a public account, you can still look them up. Like, even if you've unfollowed them, like, you can go in your search and like look for them.
Oh yeah.
And so, and same is true, like when I did that social media fast, like I deleted the apps off my phone, but I could have gone onto my internet browser and logged in and like looked at it anyway. And like, the piece of unfollow is not, oh, I hope they notice I unfollowed them. In fact, some people on Facebook, I just hid them and they can't even tell that I did. But it's for me. So I have to now go, if I made that decision, I'm going to hold to that decision, and don't get tempted to like, well, what was happening? I didn't go to the event, so what was it? And like, because that can play an even bigger FOMO issue in your heart.
That would be a good test for somebody.
What?
Is open your social and go to your search and see who you searched and why.
That's true.
Because when I was full of lust, I was searching the same probably 15 churches.
And seeing what they're doing.
What did they do on Sunday? What's happening over there? And I'm literally in the same way I used to. I'm not going to say the things I used to search as a young man, but in the same way that I would type things in the search bar, full of lust as a young man.
Right
Now, in a season of maturity, that I thought I was in the same way, searching to look at something to drool over, to lust for.
Yeah.
And when I realized that's what I was doing, like every Sunday afternoon, I'm going to look and see what.
Yeah. And there's always going to be somebody, especially if their budget's 6 times yours.
Well, that's the thing that's not fair.
Right.
That's the thing that's not fair.
Especially if this, that, or the other, like, it's never going to be satisfying. And so that's the issue with lust. Like, it makes you unsatisfied with what you have. And so, like, for us in this season, we've had to unfollow, we've had to step away. And the truth is, it's hurt some people's feelings and ticked some people off. We've had people being like, well, why aren't you coming to this? Or why aren't you a part? Or where are you? And you've always been a supporter of us in the past. Why aren't you being, doesn't mean I'm not a supporter of you. And like, I think that's a big piece for it. If you've decided to take a step back, like, the thing I love about you, is that you're always obedient to God's voice, and you are the best at tuning out everybody else's. Once you know God has spoken it, you're like, I don't give a crap what anybody else says or thinks. And that's what, as leaders, as people trying to reach into more, we have to be willing to say, I don't care what my Aunt Susie says. I don't care what Sister Jody says. Like, I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do what I know is right, what God's told me to do, or what I believe is the right next step for me, and hold to that and not be discouraged by the decision you made.
If it makes you feel worse,
just don't be there.
Just don't be there.
It's not like, what a novel idea.
Yeah.
But yet we've been struggling with that since we were in 2nd grade when we didn't get invited to the birthday party, you know?
I've got a whole other thing. I don't know how long.
No, do it. Go. We've got time.
So I was talking to my counselor. This is, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him about some of the stuff, like way back then, that I was just in the infancy stages of processing in me, about like this desire to advance myself, this tug of more, and about how I wanted to gain favor with people. And he said, Truston, there's 2 different kinds of guys. There's the kind of guys that they climb the staircase that's been erected, that's inside the building, to get to success. And then there's the kind of guys that take their ladder and they lean it on the outside of the building, or they get a grappling hook or one of those Batman shooter things, and they climb the outside of the building of success to get to the top. And he said, you're frustrated because you're not an inside of the building guy.
Right.
You're not just trying to climb the normal ladder that in your organization or denomination or whatever that most people would want to climb. And you're looking in the windows of people going up the stairs and you're frustrated about how hard it is for you, but you're not that guy.
Right.
And so then I'm chewing on that and I'm kind of mad at him because it's so true in my life. And then he says, you're just frustrated that you're not getting invited to a party that you don't even want to go to.
Right.
And do I have time to do all this?
Yeah.
Does it tie into this podcast?
It's good. No, it's good because I have thoughts.
And he says, Truston, if you threw a party, what would it look like?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, here's what it'll look like. And I'm talking about the food and the music and the people that are there and how the party looks.
Baseline and all those things. Right.
Here's how Truston's party is going to look. It's going to be thumping, Truston's party. And he says, describe the party of this group of people that you're frustrated at.
Yeah.
And I say, and no offense to anybody that plays board games.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, their party, they're playing some lame music. They got bad snacks. They're playing Settlers of Catan. Like, I don't want to be at this party.
Yeah.
And he said, right. So you're upset that you're not at a party
that you don't even want to be.
That you don't even want to go to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And dude, it blew my mind.
No, it's true.
It blew my mind that this large group of pastors or this other organization that I think that I want to get platformed and connected to, they're not even doing it how I'm doing it.
Right.
They're not. Their party's not my party.
Right.
But I'm not a suit and tie guy.
No, it's true.
Or 100 other.
No, it's
things.
true. But we've grown up. If you've grown up in any sort of leadership, like learning and context, you hear the phrase all the time, like it's all in who you know. Connections are a big deal, and it's all in, and so we get this idea and this mantra that we have to be in these certain circles because it's all in who we know. But the truth is, in that, we don't know who we are. And we don't know how we like our own eggs. Like, we don't know. It's that Runaway Bride movie where she's like tried all the eggs and she just still doesn't know. She just likes whatever her boyfriend likes. But we know who we are. Yeah. We know how we like our eggs. We know how we cook our chicken. Like, we know the way we do it here at our church, and it's super different. And so we can't be so caught up in the connections of people that are gonna connect us to things that are not who we are. Yeah. And yet, when you don't take the time to actually like look at it that way, then you just feel left out all the time. Yeah. And so no, it was brilliant and freeing in that conversation, but then has led us to this space of like, it's okay to say no, that's not for me. Yeah. And our hope in this conversation today is that it will be freeing for somebody that's been putting themselves in spaces that are either hurting you or are just not your party. Like, it's okay. Like, you don't have to be a part of that, and you don't have to keep watching it. You don't have to keep getting stabbed, and it doesn't mean you're rude or wrong in it. I think that's the part you and I both have consistently said to each other, like, am I being negative in this? Am I being right in this? Like, am I fighting this the wrong way? But we're not. We're doing it from the right heart so that we can keep the right heart. And as long as you're willing to like do that and then allow some other people to help you navigate it correctly, then you can do it well. What you guys have?
No, I've got some thoughts and even maybe some growth in my mind that's happening in the moment.
That's good.
Okay, so is there a way that you could still walk in without expecting something? So let's talk about it. Let's boil it way down from like big organizational stuff, like down to family.
Okay.
So like I go to Thanksgiving with my family.
Yeah.
And my expectation is that my aunt and uncle are going to be like really kind and talk to me about my life and ask me about me. Right? Yeah. This is my expectation. Right. But they ain't going to do it. They haven't done it my whole life. They're not about to start doing it.
Well,
so is there a moment that your expectation of the other people can shift?
Absolutely.
And then you're safe to go back in?
Absolutely. And I think that's what this season is, because we say it all the time. It's a value we hold, that our expectation affects our experience. Yeah. And so if we can shift our expectation, and it's twofold. It's two-sided. So it's your expectation of them, and then it's your expectation of yourself.
Right.
And so for us, like in this season, we are understanding our expectation of some of these places and circles and spaces is we had it way up high, and we just need to bring it on down. Mm-hmm. Like, nope, I'm not expecting anything. I'm not even expecting kindness. I'm not expecting I'm not expecting them to roll out the red carpet, but I'm not expecting like them to even acknowledge that I exist. And if we can have that expectation, then it will affect our experience, because then if we even encounter one nice thing, we're like, oh, nice. Yeah. Oh, that was kind. I can't believe they even said hello. Oh, they saved us a seat, or whatever it is. And then the other is the expectation on ourselves. Mm-hmm. Having the expectation that no matter what happens, I'm going to walk in with joy and with excitement.
And be me.
And I'm going to be myself.
Not do a song and a dance.
And I'm going to wear what I want to wear. I'm going to wear what makes me comfortable. I'm going to go with the people that make me happy in life. I'm going to make the decisions that I would make, not worried about what they would think. And the expectation of like, the expectation of how I'm going to respond in it and how I'm going to feel.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to feel, well, again, this is my struggle, but it's true. I'm not going to feel defeated by them. I'm going to pay attention to who I am. And again, this space is allowing us space. When we're comparing, we're not looking at how good what we have is. But when we can take that space to actually fall back in love with what we're doing and who we are and what God's called us to, then when we walk in that space, my expectation is I love what I'm doing. So if you got words negative to say about it, I don't care, because I know how good it is. And that's my hope and been my prayer in this season, is just like, as I then step back into it, God, you're going to teach me and show me how I can step back in, and it won't be able to touch me. It won't be able to hurt me the way it did before.
That there's no longer that expectation or a need.
Yeah.
That we don't need anything.
That validation or that.
At that same conference that we went to, that like hurt came from above, if you will.
Yeah.
But also there was a guy there at the conference that I fired, who was on our staff.
Yeah.
And I fired him a couple of years ago. And I saw him there actually in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he talked to, he like saw me, and we had this really weird interaction. He was like, I need to talk to you because I'm real mad at you. And like, he literally started crying and ran out of the bathroom.
Yeah.
That was really weird.
Yeah.
And like really sad for my heart too.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to hurt anybody.
Right.
Now, I'm glad I fired the guy. If I did anything wrong, I should have fired him sooner.
Right.
It's not that I regret how that went, other than the fact that he ended up hurt in the decision. And so like, sometimes it's both sides.
Absolutely.
That you have to be okay to navigate.
Yeah.
So it's not, do we have to be at a place that we can receive that stuff from above and it not even water off a duck's back, but it's also the other direction of the expectation of, I'm not Superman.
Yeah. I'm
the
just
expectation
a
of like, I don't have an unlimited budget and can just pay people to not work and do their job. That both sides, that there's a healing that has to happen before you can re-engage.
Absolutely.
And this is what you're talking about your social media fast.
Yeah.
Is that there's sometimes that there just has to be a season where you're secluded.
Yeah. Because one post about like, I'm so grateful for the way this person loves me and honors me or treats me or what, can make me feel like, oh, I guess we didn't love or honor or treat well the right way. But once we have that space to go, I'm just a person. And something you and I say all the time, we did the best we could in the season we were in and the best we knew how at the time. And like, if I can really know that and own that and believe that about myself, then when we encounter people who, are hurt by us, because that's just life. The more you lead, the more people you lead, the more you're going to cause pain, more people are going to hate you. That's just the way it is.
It's so good.
Then we can walk into it knowing like, I'm sorry. You and I both have had conversations in the last year with people that have that didn't run out, but that we were able to sit in the conversation and say, hey, I'm sorry for any hurt I caused you. Not sorry for what happened, like you said, but I'm sorry for any hurt I caused you, and I'm sorry if I didn't handle it to the best of my ability or even the best I would handle it today. I only handled it the way I could back then. And like, I think we have to just give ourselves space to love ourselves and care for ourselves the same way we would anybody else.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
You know, there's a saying, I don't know if it's a saying, but to be successful in ministry, or I really think anywhere in life, what we tell our staff is that we have to keep tender hearts, but calloused hands.
Absolutely.
But I think that what people think many times is they have to have callous hands. They have to have thick skin.
Yeah.
Or they have to, but what people, sorry, I'm saying it backwards. But what people actually have many times is they have tender skin and calloused hearts.
Yeah.
Unfollowing somebody is not a calloused heart.
Absolutely not.
It's an attempt to try to get back a tender heart.
Absolutely.
And so sometimes you have to take a step back or unfollow or remove or stop looking or lusting after something so that your heart can recalibrate and it can stay soft again.
Well, because you and I say, like, we want to do this life, this ministry, this leadership that we're doing for the next 30 years. Like, our goal is to be old people saying, wow, we handed this over to the next generation and they're doing a good job. Look, but we won't get there if we don't understand that we're in a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And we have to take times to like rest, to recharge, to recalibrate. But even as leaders, too, not just for our team, not just for the people on our team, but especially for you, especially for those of us who are leading in a higher capacity, we have to be aware of what is causing us pain and take some steps and space to let the bleeding stop.
No, it's really, really good because over the next 30 years, we're going to have to fire a lot more people.
Like 86,000.
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And we're going to probably be hurt by a lot of other people.
Absolutely.
And we're going to be lied to.
We're going to be misunderstood, all kinds of things.
But if in this season we can learn how to be Teflon, don't let it stick,
it's true.
Then we can walk through all of those things in a healthier way.
Absolutely.
Okay, so homework.
Yes.
For the people that are watching.
Yeah.
Who do you need to unfollow?
Yeah.
Who, while you were listening to this, were you thinking about?
Yeah.
It's probably them.
Who is it that you screenshot their story or their post and send it to your friends and say, look what so-and-so is doing. Look what such and such is about. Because I guarantee you that exists no matter who you are, no matter how healthy you are, no matter how healed you are. And so if so, maybe it's time to take a step back. Maybe it's time to say, hey, I'm not going to follow them for a minute.
And maybe it can be a minute. Like, I don't think that you should never talk to your mother again.
Oh, no.
But like, maybe there's a time that you need to have some distance.
Yeah, it's a boundary. It's whatever is the right space, but you got to do it. And I promise you, or maybe you just need to take a break. Maybe you just need to turn off your phone and not look at it at all, any of it, anywhere for a minute, and let yourself go, oh, here's the thing that was hurting me, and identify it.
When I was younger, I would lead mission trips to Mardi Gras.
Oh, yes.
And we had a friend who had like a whole ministry in our church in New Orleans, and we'd go to Mardi Gras. And before we went, we had to do a 21-day media fast. Now, this is before smartphones.
Yeah.
No movies, no TV, no nothing for 21
Yeah.
days, no media of any kind. And it was to desexualize your mind. So that then when you were down there on Bourbon Street, passing out waters and like telling people about Jesus and whatever we were doing, you were now hypersensitive to what you were seeing.
Right.
And so you wouldn't fall into like a lot of tempting thoughts.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is sometimes you have to pull yourself out of the norm.
Yeah.
So when you go back into, you can be healthy.
Absolutely. That's good. We love you guys. If you have questions, thoughts, comments, whatever, or even how do I do this? Well, how do I go about it? We'd love to talk to you, hear about it. Y'all are the best.
Hit us up. See ya.